I look at the outer aspects of what you might envy in Barack Obama. He's a cool guy. Exactly. I mean, cool in a Sinatra way, in a positive Sinatra way, unlike Trump, which is the bad Sinatra.
Yeah, and you're the stupid Sinatra. Yes. Yep. All right. Enough. The caravan hit the fan. Or rather, a parade of unchecked immigrants hit a wall. An orange wall. A 71-year-old cheeseburger-eating wall that is Donald Trump. His blunt response to a planned symbolic wave of immigrants from Honduras created what we call second thoughts. And the caravan became a caravant. Somewhere in Mexico. Yep, they called Trump's bluff, and he said enough. But were they really coming anyway? Who knows? But what a slam dunk for DT. Seriously, the guy's been all over illegal immigration forever. And an activist group says, hey, while he's president, let's send 1,000 people to the border. Not happening. So here was an example of the new school being schooled by the old school. An old world dude faced off with the modern grievance movement, and the movement moved on. Reminds me of a movie.
In a world where the border is wall-less and the boundary is lawless, they sent a caravan, and he sent an army.
We're going to be guarding our border with the military.
It's a small step for man.
It's a big step.
Sorry, it's a big step. When federal law was left unenforced and Democrats kicked the can down the road, or is it the ball down the field? Either way, one man said, nah, bro, not in my country. Nude man on a unicorn baking a cake while reciting Shakespeare backwards films presents Donald Trump, Enrique Peña Nieto, and Ric Flair as the Nature Boy. Executive Action 11, Order at the Border.
All right. Now, there's another reason why the caravan failed. Society. Society's biggest beef is always line cutting, which is predicated on fairness. If you're not in dire need, then you wait in line like everyone else. The many, many thousands of people here in my studio audience right now, they waited in line. Yeah, the thousands waited in line, but it seems we've forgotten why. So here's a primer even kids will understand.
Line cutting. Why is it bad? Well, first you should know that lines are as American as the Revolutionary War. Back then, linear infantry formations would have to wait their rightful turn before shooting each other with muskets. In fact, 4 out of 5 scientists agree. Without lines, we never would have won our independence. Fast forward to today and you can see lines everywhere. For iPhones, at ball games, on Gordon Ramsay's forehead, and there's even a line to get into this country. The only place you won't see lines are at Maroon 5 concerts. But when lines are long, some people like to cut the whole thing, leaving those people who follow the rules out in the cold. Doesn't seem fair, does it? Unless, of course, you're in a place that says rules don't matter and you're given sanctuary. But that's a video for another time. And that is why line cutting is bad.
Yes. No one ever explains it. No one explains it. The bottom line, everyone who came here the right way wishes everyone else would do the same thing. Get in line. Meanwhile, the left met another wall. Call it a collusion.
After a year of very thorough investigation and going after all the low-hanging fruit, if they couldn't have shifted him from a subject to a target, there's nothing there. Now they're going after very, very weak issues. Collusion. I challenge Mueller to tell me what statute is violated by collusion.
Dershowitz. Throwing down the gauntlet. So was the news that Trump's not a target a plus for Trump and a setback for his foes at CNN? We stopped by their offices for comment. So, where is the impeachment caravan now? Heading into another wall. No surprise. I mean, have they even thought this thing through? Seriously, what happens if the impeachment imps get exactly what they want? what do they end up with? That's your plan? I love that plan. Replace a centrist Republican with a guy who's so right-wing he makes Genghis Khan look like Grandpa Walton. But the left never has a plan, always seeking to replace things that work, a free market, a border, a president, with crap. Communism, socialism, identity politics, patchouli, tofu. No wonder everything they touch ends in suffering. If history was our guide, we'd build a wall around them. But last and never least, there's this. A former First Lady compares Donald Trump to being a bad parent.
The 8 years that Barack was president, it was sort of like having the good parent at home, the one that told you to eat your carrots and go to bed on time. And now perhaps we have the other parent. Maybe it feels fun to some for now because we can eat candy all day and stay up late and not follow the rules.
That wasn't a bad metaphor, except for the last line. It feels fun for now because we can eat candy all day. So what's the candy? Is it more jobs, less ISIS, progress with North Korea, Gorsuch, tax cuts? Because if that's the candy, what does that make Donald Trump?
Candy man.
Yeah! All right. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He's like James Bond, but with better hair. Former CIA officer Buck Sexton. Like falling through a plate glass window, he'll leave you in stitches. Comedian Joe Mackey. She's only cheerful when she has a beerful. National Review reporter Kat Timpf. And he can literally move mountains. Impact wrestler and my massive sidekick, Tyrus. So, Buck, I have to hand it to Donald Trump on this because this was a yearly political stunt by an activist group to raise awareness about asylum seekers and so forth. And it's been done before, but he repurposed it for his law and order perspective, and it seems like it worked. I don't know.
We also have more data now about what ends up happening, by the way. You have a lot of 25-year-olds showing up at the border saying they're 17, and that's just now been established.
I've been tricked by them, by the way. They tell me they're 25.
So,
anyway.
So there's a lot of that happens. And also, what I think people started to recognize this week is that they're actually not illegals.
Yeah.
They were going through, this is a caravan going through a mountain-sized loophole. This was an enormous loophole where they literally show up to Border Patrol and they say, here we are. Can you put us on those buses and send us to the places where you give the people the free place to stay and the food and tell me to show up in immigration court in about 5 years?
Yes.
We'll see how that goes.
No, it's a good point. Joe, I think this was poor planning on their part. Here you have a president who's so old world, all law and order, and they go, let's just send 1,000 people to the border. He won't do anything.
Yeah, caravan's a terrible way to sneak into a country unless it's a Dodge Caravan. I've said that a million times, and I'll say it again. But I'll tell you what, they were upset that about the presidential election in Honduras. Well, I don't think that they're going to like the president here because Trump probably wouldn't have done well in that election.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Kat, I kind of think what bums me out about the caravan, it's actually an important issue, people trying to get out of bad countries. But how can just being a citizen of a country make you an asylum seeker? There's got to be like war and pestilence and hell, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. All right. Guess that wasn't much of a question.
No, look, I think that the one issue I had with this is Trump said this represented like a massive influx of illegal immigrants, when really Border Patrol agents have said this is pretty typical of what they see every day.
Yeah.
And also, border crossings have dropped dramatically. There's not this new massive influx. And I do think that Trump deserves credit for that. I don't think he's giving himself enough credit. They've dropped dramatically. So there's not this new massive wave. They're way down.
Yeah, but it's I think it's because he's a metaphorical wall. I mean, like if somebody who just gets elected says you're not allowed to come here, it's going to send people back, right, Tyrus? Or
yeah, I think it was interesting because we live in a world now where no one's ever really beaten or loses an argument, and they were pretty much told you're not coming to America. So they're like, beautiful Tijuana. We are now going to beautiful Tijuana, ladies and gentlemen. Tijuana, where everyone gets a fresh start. You know, man, it's amazing over there. It's kind of like America, just drunker. It's going to be great. So
Tijuana
they just
is where your life ends.
that this journey it'll get Morgan Freeman, the narrator, now in Tijuana where they find their new life. So they didn't really lose. They can't give it. You know, he sent the National Guard, and they're like, maybe they're gonna do clerical work. Nah, bro, they're not clericing nothing. They're clicking and clacking and making sure you're not crossing. But yeah, that was the whole thing today. Is they changed the narrative to where it was just a symbolic.
Right.
Except they didn't tell the people on the buses who packed everything they possibly could in underneath the bus, and they didn't tell them that it was just it's just a little thing they're going to show off, and then everyone's going to go back to Honduras. Yeah. No, they're stuck in Tijuana now, and there's not a lot of jobs out there.
Yeah, there are a lot of jobs, but they're not jobs that you want. Apparently, I would not do that. All right, so what's final questions? If nothing seems to be working, Buck, when they're going, if collusion doesn't work and Stormy doesn't work and infidelity doesn't work, collusion, dementia, what should the left do now?
To win the midterm election?
Yes.
Just not be crazy. But they can't manage to do that. No, I really mean that. Like, if they actually focus, they know what the answer is here because of what happened in Pennsylvania with Connor Lamb. If they talk about issues that actually matter to the American electorate, they have a chance of winning some of those toss-up races that right now are actually trending a little bit Democrat. But if they do what you're talking about, you cannot turn on CNN without seeing either Vladimir Putin's face or Stormy Daniels. That has become the network mantra right now.
They got to put them together.
Stormy Putin?
Stormy Putin. That sounds that sounds like a medical disorder. Joe, final thoughts on how things are going in general?
Maybe we could get Katy Perry out there on the campaign trail earlier this year.
Yes. Yeah. She really helped, don't you think?
From some people's perspective.
Yes. Mainly not hers. All right. Coming up. Should she be ashamed of all the people she's blamed? Hillary keeps talking, and I keep talking about her.